Willie, Galopin Des Champs, the dual Gold Cup winner, how has he been?
He's very good, very happy with him. He's very laid back, as you can see. We'll probably do more or less what we did last year, although looking through his record, he got beaten twice last year in Punchestown at the start of the season, at the end of the season, and his previous run to that, he was beaten in Punchestown as well, so maybe he doesn't like the place, but I think probably just the 2.5 miles beat him last year. Fast or slow, he's a good horse anyhow, and he was going well in the Gold Cup when he fell. So I imagine we'll do the same thing, go to Christmas, then back to the Irish Gold Cup and on to Cheltenham. He's a year older now. I think he's still in good order. Whether we give him one race less, I don't know. But I'd like to have him good and fit going to Cheltenham anyhow. So, whether we take one of those spring races out, and it's hard to know. I think the way we've campaigned him for the last 2 years has worked, and I hate changing things. So I'd say we'll probably stick to our plan.
Bit of a 360 last year, tactics-wise, of course. The previous year is all about trying to get him settled after he got beaten to John Durkin. He had to switch him on.
We did. He just didn't jump well being held up, and Paul was keen enough to. I wanted to see him going down and attacking the first 2 or 3 fences and get into his rhythm quicker. And I think just letting him roll along from the beginning helped that and made a big difference to him.
You mentioned winning 2 Gold Cups, being a year older. He's going there as the defending champion, bidding for 3. Long way to go to next March, of course, but how hard is it to do that?
Very hard. I mean, best mate, probably the last one, and he did very little racing throughout his seasons. Obviously, that was, the way to train him. This fella just different, I think. But you never know what the season throws up as well. If they get a little knock. He missed a couple of weeks there last month. He had a small little issue, but resolved now. So we'll see, is he ready enough for the John Durkin, and maybe we'll just wait till Christmas. But he's back in good order now. So when I go to Galopin, I'll see how he is, and I get a lot of feedback from Paul as well. He knows him inside out, so he'll be a great help deciding where we go first time.
That success in the Gold Cup last March, of course, the enjoyment people get out looking at this horse run, and in particular his owners, the Turley family, they really appreciate what they have.
I think so. They know they've been lucky to get a horse like him. He's a horse in a lifetime for any owner, any trainer, and he's such a pet as well. I think himself and Audrey get on very well. So hopefully he'll be posing for more pictures with her.
Not a bad collection of horses in this paddock, Willie.
No, Stateman, Gaelic Warrior, 2 fine horses to go to war with. They enjoy being out in the paddock during the day on a day like this. They're good mates as well, so they don't knock the stuffing out of one another, and it's good for them to relax. Stateman, I imagine, will probably go for the Morgiana and then go the usual route. Leopardstown Christmas, then Leopardstown for the Irish Champion Hurdle, and back to Cheltenham for the Champion Hurdle. It's worked every year. He's a good, solid, straightforward horse. Doesn't do anything flashy, but gets the job done. He is a Champion Hurdle winner, an Irish Champion Hurdle winner. I mean, his record last year was fantastic. If he could do anything like that again this year, that'd be great for Mari and Joe Donnelly.
Potential match coming up with Constitution Hill again, maybe.
Yeah, looking forward to that. I think he has a Champion Hurdle in the bag, so we might have to. It'd be good to put the 2 of them together anyhow.
He's so economical in everything he does. He relaxes. He just does what he has to do to win on any occasion, really, no matter what the opposition is.
That's it. He's just a racehorse. He gets out and races whatever he's against, but he just doesn't show off when he's doing it. He just does what he has to do, and hopefully he can do that against Constitution Hill.
Gaelic Warrior, you decided to go chasing last year. It all came good in the end with that Windy Arkle chase at Cheltenham. Not so good before that at the Dublin Racing Festival.
Yeah, I mean, Gaelic Warrior, we started off, I think, the Brown Advisory was the race we had over 3 miles, and then he lost his lines in Dublin Racing Festival with Fact to File, and we just said we'd change tactics altogether. Then we'd go back to 2 miles, and he came good in Cheltenham. And coming out of Cheltenham, we're thinking, have we a champion chaser instead of a Gold Cup horse? It's a nice problem to have, but and then he just disappointed me a little in Punchestown, but that was at the end of a season, and he got a bump along the way. I imagine we'll probably start off thinking that he's a champion chase horse, and if he has to go up and trip, that'll be fine. The Ryanair's there, the Gold Cup is there, but he's able to win around Cheltenham. He jumps a little bit to his right, but he has an engine, so sometimes you just have to put up with those little quirks that they have, and he's good enough to be in Cheltenham anyhow. Just you got to keep an eye out.
They're both in good terms with themselves anyway. And how have they been after the summer breaks?
They've been fine. Just I've been very happy with both of them. So I'm not sure where Gaelic Warrior will start off. We'll probably the John Durkin once again. If there's an alternative race somewhere in England, maybe we might do that as well. But at this point in time, I imagine the starting point will be Punchestown. Theoretically,
the King George perhaps, would that be an option, going right-handed 3 miles flat track?
That is, yeah. That's something that will come into play, I'd say, this year. He'd, we know he stays. We're not too worried about that. But whether we go for the Grade 1 2 miles at Christmas, but he is a horse that you could go from one trip to another. It wouldn't really worry me. Wouldn't worry him, I think. Ballyburn, he'd come back in good shape, good and strong. 4 from 5 last year.
How did you get him beating a maiden hurdle?
That was my fault. Paul wanted to go on and make the running, but I just felt the horse first time out, he was very keen these bumpers, and I didn't want him jumping out the first run, and he probably hadn't him as ready as I wanted him. So I asked Paul to settle him in, and he got beaten, but he was beaten by a Grade 1 horse, Firefox, after, so no shame in that. Learned a lot that day. Probably learned how to settle a little bit too, which was better for him later on in the season.
You made a decision after winning the Dublin Racing Festival, of course, beat Slade Steele on that occasion, to go up and trip at Cheltenham.
Yeah, I thought he'd handle the trip no problem, and we put Mythical Power in the Supreme Novice, and he got beaten. But there you are. I was trying to keep them apart. So at least to get a winner out of it is good, rather than 2 of them get beat.
How has he been since he came back after a summer break?
He's been very good, very happy with him. Haven't had a chance to chat to Ronnie Bartlett or Dave Manassa about his direction this year. He can go both directions. He probably has to find a good half stone or more to be champion hurdle class. He can go down the novice chase route either. So we just haven't had a chance to meet Ronnie. I was supposed to meet him this week, but we didn't get around to doing that. So we'll have to have that conversation in the next short while, I think.
Very impressive in his point-to-point win.
He jumps well. I mean, to me, he looks a chaser, but he's obviously very sharp as well over hurdles, But anyhow, we'll have to leave that one for the next few weeks, I think. But hopefully I'll let Sporting Life readers know first. We'll see.
Willie, fact to file, this time last year you revealed to us that you were going to skip going novice hurling with him. You went straight chasing, and it's a move that worked out very well.
Yeah, it did. As you can see, he's one of the friendliest horses, I think, in the place. He's so inquisitive, always out over the door looking at what's going on. But he won 3 out of 4 last year. His last 2 were Grade 1s. He just took to it naturally, I think, to jumping. But he looks that type of a horse when you see him out. Usually a horse like this, aiming for the Gold Cup, we'd start off with John Durkin and then aim for Christmas.
Christmas being?
Well, there's the King George there. There's other races there. So we'll have a look. We'll have a chat. We'll see how he gets on with his first race first. and we'll take it from there. But usually, if we have a Gold Cup horse, we have a fairly predictable route there. Either could be Tremor. You never know. We'll see what happens. I have a word with JP and Frank and Mark, of course. We'll see how the horse takes his first run. And I'm not expecting anything untoward. He's a fairly straightforward horse, I think.
Physically, how has he done? He's always been a big, imposing unit, and he's 7-year-olds now.
Yeah, I think he couldn't be much better than he was last year, physically. So he's developed quite early, so he did. So, if he can hold the same type of muscle that he had last year, I'd be very happy.
He showed at Dublin Racing Festival that he's got a big engine that can maintain a good tempo, but in Cheltenham it was a rough race for him. It all didn't go to plan, but again the last 3 furlongs he was very strong on that occasion.
He was, and he is. I think he's just so much ability. It'll come out again, I think, this next year. It's always a hard year transitioning from novice into open company, but I think this one has all the attributes that you'd need to be an open horse,
Willie, Lossiemouth, brilliant winner at Triumph Hurl, and again winning at Cheltenham last year in the Mayor's Hurl.
Yeah, we took her easy with her last year, just 3 runs. She was good in all of them. She'll have a busier year this year, I think, aiming for the champion hurdle. The way she jumped around Cheltenham last year, winning twice there, I think, she's up. That's 3 wins in Cheltenham. So we're looking forward to her having a crack at the champion hurdle. She had a busy season as a juvenile, and that's why we didn't do too much with her last year. And I think she's come back good and strong for it. She'll probably start off with the Morgiana, and we'll take it from there. We'll navigate through the season without any plan at the moment. She could go to Christmas, she could go back to Cheltenham. There's, I think, a mare's race that Annie Power won in Doncaster. We'll have a lot of options for her. But I think she has the ability to have a crack at Statement or Constitution Hill or whatever else lines up for the champion hurdle, Ballyburn, maybe, you never know. Anyhow, but she's in good shape.
Two of them 3 wins were at 2.5 miles. Was that just a quirk of the programme, the way it panned out for her?
I think so, but I think you've got to be able to win over 2.5 to win a champion hurdle. If you only barely get 2 miles, I think you could be found out. Most champion hurdlers have stamina, plenty of it, to win over 2.5. And you need that little bit of speed, to be good at 2.5 as well. So she has everything, I think. Jumping ability, speed, stamina. She's going to be a big player, I think, this year in the Champion Hurdle Stakes.
Am Maximus, Willie, 2 Grand Nationals.
Yes, I don't know how good he is. The acceleration he showed winning the Aintree National from the last fence home when Paul said, and then when he set him alight, he just showed huge acceleration at the end of, 4.25 miles, I think. But he's by authorised. He's quirky all his life, and I think he's just maturing now, and his real ability will come out. I think we're keen to have another crack at the Grand National with him. He won't have much more weight than last year, so I think JP is very keen to have another go with him. He seems to like Aintree, jumps the fences very well. So we're going to plan our route back there. Before he ran in Aintree, he ran in the Bobby Joe, which I always think is a great trial for Irish horses anyhow. And then probably look at the Gold Cup in Leopardstown and the Savile Chase, Leopardstown at Christmas. Starting off, maybe we might just throw him into the John Durkin, and that could be as good a starting off place as any. I think time-wise for Christmas it is. I think that's sort of basic plan for all being well. To go for a Grand National, you need 4 or 5 runs under your belt, I think, just to be fit enough for that type of a contest. It's a very hard race to win, first or second run, I think. You just need race fitness, so you do. So he's come back. I think he's come back better than I've ever seen him. He's stronger. maturing all the time. So really looking forward to him this year.
That day, they win the Grand National, fantastic scenes, but it changed the whole slant of the season for you as regards the English Trainers' Championship with the prize money that you won.
That's right. I mean, it's a huge prize, and it's one I always try to aim for. I've been lucky enough with Hedgehunter and this fellow to win it, but this year it meant a lot more because it propelled us right up there in the Trainers' Championship, and it was a fantastic springboard to launch the last month of the season, then the last 3 weeks, travelling all over England to get every few pounds that we could muster. And but this fellow had to click really in the national or be in the first three, you know, to give us a chance. And he did. And Paul gave him a super ride.
How good was to win another Grand National?
Well, I suppose your first is always the best. You know, the day we won with Hedgehunter, I thought, well, that's it, been there now and been lucky enough to do that. And the feeling you get from having a national winner is huge. And, you know, this time around, it is good, but definitely the first one is always probably the best. Yeah. Hopefully he can do it again this year.
Willie Majborough, brilliant winner of the Triumph Hurl. How's he been since?
He's been good. You know, he's a huge horse. As I think I might have said to you last year, I couldn't believe he was a juvenile when he arrived here. He looked like a ready-made chaser. And indeed, that's what I think we're going to do this year, go novice chasing with him. He only had 2 runs last season, third in Leopardstown, and then went on and turned the form around and won the Triumph Hurdle. And we put him away. He's such a big animal. We felt he hadn't much more to prove, and he jumps so well. We're going straight novice chasing this year. I know he's only 4. Didn't have a hard season last year. I'm not sure when I'm going to start him. He jumps well. Yeah, it's tough maybe for 4-year-olds to go chasing. I know they get a bit of an allowance early in the season. But I'm not going to over race him, I think, as a novice. Hopefully his ability will come out, and you know that he'll be a decent horse again in the spring.
Form of the Triumph Hurl has worked out very well since he, of course, reversed form with Cargeese from his Irish debut. She went on to win a Grade 1 at Punchestown afterwards. Yeah,
his form is standing up everywhere, and you know the size and scope. He's just a real chaser. Probably surprised how well he jumped hurdles for a horse his size, you know, that he took notice of them. A lot of horses his size, they don't take any notice, but he's very intelligent, so really looking forward to him.
The new course on that occasion, he got outpaced at one point, but the further he went over that 2 miles 1 furlong, he really came into his own. Yeah,
coming up that hill, I mean, he was just eating up ground, huge long stride, took the last quite well. Yeah, he's going to be a force, I think, to be reckoned with. You know, I just hope his age doesn't get in the way because, you know, up to the last few years, 4-year-olds got a good age allowance, but that's disappeared. So it's going to be tough for him, but he has the ability, and he may as well learn this game, I think, at a young age. I think he'll be a right chaser in the future.
Start him off over 2 miles this time?
I imagine he'll start off. As I never mind too much in Ireland where we start them off 2.5, even a bit more if we have to. But I rather just start them when they're ready for their first run, and then whatever chases around as they get up in grade, then we might come back to the trip that suits them best. You know, so when, but I'm sure most Triumph horses, I suppose, want to trip in there as they get older. You know, so shouldn't have any problem going out and trip.
Willie, mystical power, he done a lot in a short space of time last year, winning a Ballyburn bumper, his first hurl start at the Galway Festival, finished off with 2 Grade 1 wins. Yeah,
he never shows off at home, and you know, so we went to Ballyburn hoping that he'd run well, and he did, and he just improved the whole season. And I think he's come back looking a better horse again this season, and he's grown. He's just a late developer. We haven't decided which direction we're going to go with him. I mean, I would think probably novice chasing, but you know, he was second in the Supreme Novice, and he won his next 2 races after that. which shows me that he's improving. He could go down the staying hurdle route. I don't think he'd be fast enough for champion hurdle, and probably hasn't got a high enough rating. But I haven't discussed it with owners or connections yet, and we'll see what they want to do. Looking at his pedigree, he could go back to be a staying horse on the flat as well. But I doubt there'll be, there might be a few nice races in him at that direction. But to me, I'd like to go jumping with him. He jumps well.
He has the pedigree, but given how relaxed he is at home, it's hard to weigh him up, I presume, where you intend to go with him based on his homework.
That's it, but every time you put something in front of him, he achieves it, he does it, and I'd say he's a lovely temperament to go novice chasing, so he has, so that's where I'd be, but as I said, I haven't really made a plan yet with connections.
Really interesting horse here we're looking at now, Willie, Kopek Des Bordes. Very impressive on Easter weekend at Ferryhouse, winning that Tattersalls.
He was the George Myrna Tattersalls bumper, and George would have been proud of this fellow, anyhow. I mean, he every inch a chaser, fine big horse. He'll go novice hurdling this year. He just had one run in a bumper, but I think he's, with his size and scope, I'd love to get him over fences sooner rather than later, but I think he just needs the experience over hurdles this year. And being by no risk at all, he should have plenty of speed. He can go down the 2 mile route, but looking at him, you'd think he's more a staying chaser. Fine, big, jumping type. One to look forward to.
Salvator Mundi, Willie, really good line of French for him, being beaten by Sir Gino on his only start over there.
Yeah, he's only had 3 runs. One more run, he's qualified for the county hurdle, I think. But I'm told he's well up in the betting for the Supreme Novice Hurdle. He jumps well. He's a real nice type. So we'll go down probably the Supreme Novice Hurdle route, but good run on is it the Gallagher's now? It used to be the Ballymore. He stays, he jumps. He has plenty of ability. I'm very happy with him. He's a nice type of horse, a real nice type to have as a novice for this season.
Early season maiden hurl, albeit, but he won by the length of the straight and Tipperary, effectively.
Yeah, he did what he had to do that day, and probably no depth in the race, but the ground was nice, and we thought before we throw him out in grass, let's see him on one more time on the racetrack, and if he could put his maiden away, that'd be good. Probably have to look at the Royal Bond. I think it's a grade 2 this year, but that'll be fine. And whether he has a run before that, I doubt it.